Hello, everyone. Today we're going to break down a randomized control trial, or RCT, that studied the effects of different stretching techniques on muscle and tendon properties in the lower leg. I'll be walking you through this study's research questions, methods, treatments, results, and what I think about the study's quality. The research question the study sought to answer was, what are the effects of static, ballistic, and proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, or PNF, stretching exercises on the range of motion, muscle stiffness, tendon stiffness, and passive resistive torque, PRT, in the lower leg. In simpler terms, they wanted to know how these three different stretching methods impact muscle and tendon flexibility and stiffness. Now let's talk about how they conducted the study. Participants who were police cadets were randomly assigned to one of three groups. Each group performed a different type of stretching: static, ballistic, or PNF stretching. Static stretching involves holding a stretch for a period of time. Ballistic stretching uses bouncing movements to stretch the muscle. And PNF stretching involves both stretching and contracting the muscle in a certain sequence. The study focused on the acute or immediate effects of these stretches, so there wasn't any long-term follow-up. Each group underwent their designated stretching for about 4 minutes. They measured the range of motion, ROM, muscle stiffness, tendon stiffness, and passive resistive torque before and after the stretching session. To make sure the groups were treated fairly, they even did a blind random assignment where participants picked cards to determine which stretching group they would join. So what did they find? Well, the results showed that all three types of stretches improved the range of motion. Static stretching increased range of motion by 4.3%, ballistic by 4.5%, and PNF by 3.5%. They also found the passive resistive torque decreased by 11.4% with static stretching, 11.5% with ballistic stretching, and 13.7% with PNF. In terms of muscle stiffness, static stretching reduced it by 13.1%, ballistic by 20.3%, and PNF by 20.2%. And for muscle tendon stiffness, all three types showed reductions, with PNF having the most significant effect at negative 13.7%. Now, while these results might sound impressive, I rated the study as low quality. And let me explain why. First off, there were some key limitations in the study's design. While the participants were randomly assigned to groups, there's no mention of allocation concealment, meaning the researchers didn't fully hide which group the participants would join. This can introduce bias. Another issue is that the participants were likely not blinded. They knew which stretching group they were in, which could have influenced their performance. Additionally, the outcome assessors, the people measuring the results, were not fully blinded either. This is problematic because it means they might have unconsciously been influenced by knowing what treatment the participants received. Also, the control group, which just rested for 4 minutes, might not have been the best comparison. Resting also could affect muscle stiffness, and there's a chance the placebo effect came into play. Plus, the testing environment wasn't perfectly controlled for factors like psychological effects, stress, motivation, and other psychological states that could influence how participants performed in the tests. There were some other important limitations too. For example, the study only looked at one part of the Achilles tendon, leaving out the distant part, which could affect the accuracy of stiffness and force measurements. They also didn't include a warm-up session, which could have affected the baseline flexibility of the participants. And with a small number of female participants in one of the groups, it was hard to draw clear conclusions for that gender. And in conclusion, to sum it all up, while the study did provide useful information on how different types of stretching affected the lower leg, the quality of the study could have been better. The lack of proper blinding, randomization issues, and other design flaws made it hard to fully trust the results. So while the findings are interesting, I would consider this a low-quality study.